Envoy proxy has become the backbone for Netflix, Airbnb, and some of the world's most demanding infrastructure, handling billions of requests per second without breaking a sweat. But here's the catch: if you want to extend it, you need deep expertise in C++ plus plus and Rust. You're maintaining custom builds, and every time Envoy updates, you're scrambling to keep your extensions in sync. It's a bottleneck that keeps powerful capabilities locked behind engineering walls. Tetrate believes that locking down Envoy is not the solution, it's in opening it up. They just announced Built on Envoy, a marketplace where extensions are as easy to discover and run as downloading an app. And today we have with us Varun Talwar, CTO of Envoy, to explain why extending Envoy has been so painful, how Built on Envoy changes that, and why AI workloads are making this shift even more urgent than ever. Varun, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Swapnil. Great to be back here.
Envoy is widely used by organizations like Netflix and Airbnb who are running massive workloads at a scale, which means it's a proven technology. But when it comes to extending Envoy, it becomes incredibly challenging. Can you talk about why extending Envoy is so difficult for most developers?
Yeah, thank you, Swapnil. It's a good question. So, Envoy is now completing its 10 years since it came out. This is actually the 10th year anniversary, um, back in 2016 when it came out. And it's been phenomenally successful, used by thousands and thousands of companies, all the cloud providers, and so on. But the problem with extensibility has been that it has been uh, the skill set and ability of only few people who really know Envoy internal code base, who are able to write what is called filters in Envoy today, which is the way to extend Envoy, right? And there are a few reasons of why it's hard, right? One of them is it's tied to only those few who know internal of what's happening in Envoy, and that's very few people. Most of the users who are using don't know the internals, and frankly, they shouldn't need to know, right? Um, but they have no way to extend to do one small thing that they want to get done without learning the internals of Envoy, right? So that's been sort of the hard problem. The mechanisms and the technology behind it is also been going through changes, right? So Envoy had a way to call out an external process and then write whatever you want to write there, which popularly in the community people call xproc. There was also a few years of effort to make WebAssembly and WASM sort of native and easy, but that proved out to be challenging. So now we are doing an earnest effort to really make Envoy approachable by a regular developer who just wants to get the behavior they want without really knowing the internals of it.
And can you walk us through what problems teams are actually trying to solve that led them to extend Envoy? In open source, usually when you make changes or improvement, you can share it with the broader ecosystem, but that is not happening with Envoy extension. Why do teams feel they need to extend it, and why don't those changes benefit the larger ecosystem, which might ease the problem even more?
In terms of challenges, it starts all the way from even building Envoy, right? Like it's a C++ code base. If you want to build it on your local desktop, it's for all your different kinds of OS flavors, and you want the right latest version. It's not easy, right? So uh, the local developer experience, which is what most of what a regular developer will do, has been missing, right? Like the ability to just like spin up Envoy, write my extension behavior, test it. I'm happy with it. Push it into a production environment, and get it successfully there. That journey and that loop has been missing, right? Uh, the Besides the technical challenges to build and extend and test, there has been sharing challenges because there hasn't been a home for all these extensions that people can share with each other, and other people can build on top of the work that's done from other developers. And therefore we see a lot of companies writing the same kind of filters over and over again in their organizations, right? So everybody who's using it for, let's say, a north south purpose will be doing some kind of authentication filter to extend for their, what however they do authentication, and everyone is doing that in their companies. So our effort is, like you said, twofold. One is to simplify the experience to make it easy to write, but then second, also make it easy to share and reuse, so that we have a home from which we can, then move faster, and other people's work can be reused.
You are addressing this with Built on Envoy, which is an extension marketplace that's open source and freely available. Tell us about the extensions that are available in the marketplace.
Yeah, so we are really excited. This is what we are calling Built on Envoy, coming out this week. So the effort is to build an open source extensions marketplace and tooling, such that both the problems we mentioned above can be solved, right? Uh, Discovering, writing, building, testing, and sharing extensions, right? Um, so some of the extensions we have here, for example, that we have added are around simple authentication mechanism. So you will find like Cedar Auth and SAML Auth kind of mechanisms where, if you just want to do, as I said, every company does authentication in their own sort of way, and they integrate with whatever authentication systems they use. And there hasn't been a home where these integration points can live, and they obviously are not right to live in Envoy core, right? But they should live in a place where everyone who's using Envoy can use them. The other type of extensions, um, as Envoy is becoming more and more capable of handling, AI and agentic sort of traffic, is we have integrations into, guardrail systems of AWS Bedrock or Azure Content Safety, for example. Again, a common thing if you're on cloud and you're building agents and you want to leverage these services, but you use Envoy for its power of as a gateway, then everybody needs to do that integration, and everybody doesn't need to redo the whole wheel again. So there are initial integrations like this that we are seeding this with, but really we are expecting community to add at a rapid pace things that are relevant for them and for their users, right? So one interesting one that was added from Databricks, for example, was file serving. So just simple way to serve files from Envoy from a folder. Fairly simple but quite powerful. And there are many like these that we hope to see in this extension marketplace.
These days, AI is one of the hottest topics, and several of the launch extensions address AI workloads. But before we get into AI and extension, you mentioned the challenge of building earlier. Why not just use AI and vibe coding to build all these extensions from scratch?
Yeah, so you know there is you need to have the right hooks to build, even if you want to do vibe code. Envoy at the core needs to have the right hooks, right? So the developer experience and the hooks, those two need to be there. And then, yes, we do totally expect that people will take the existing extensions, point Claude to it and say, do my thing. So, and that's okay, but that's because the core of what is needed, we have invested in and built, which is the hooks at with which you hook into Envoy. So, for example, in built of Envoy, we have proper SDKs for Go and Rust developers. So you can just say BOE, like BOE is for built on Envoy, and you can just say create extension, your extension name, and then it'll bootstrap a whole Go project with the right SDK, with the right handlers, and all you do is write your logic, and you can just run Envoy locally with that logic compiled in, test it, and that's like a 2-minute process, which otherwise would take hours for you to even build Envoy, right? So it's a huge productivity saver. It's super good for developer experience. We have been testing in privately with few users, and the response has been great. um, and just the fact that a bunch of these external people could actually understand and add themselves within a matter of days is validation for that. So yes, back to your question, vibe coding absolutely will happen now that this plumbing and core has been put in place.
Now, since we're talking about AI, can you talk about the importance of Envoy for AI infrastructure?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So these days, uh, lot of proxies and AI gateways are coming up from newer companies and providers. But from what we see, you know, uh, very quickly, uh, usage of some of these agents can um, scale up very fast. Like we all saw the OpenClaw moment, right? Like a few weeks ago, and it's still going. And the your agents and AI is only as reliable as your backend APIs, because ultimately the context to those models is given from your backend data and MCP servers and so on, right? So what I suggest to people is, having something proven, robust over a decade, like Envoy, as your starting point, can make sure that if you have your OpenClaw moments, and when you're connecting to services behind where Envoy is really good at, and you have new MCP servers coming all the time, you are well positioned to take the next steps in your AI journey, and both from connectivity, reliability, and security standpoint. And we are seeing this in market. Like we are seeing a lot of companies who are like, we started off a few years ago with whatever we could get our hands on, but now it's not scaling up to the level that we need to, right? And so I starting and what Tetrate's trying to do is make your journey of starting up with agents and very like easy with Envoy, right? Like you don't have to understand all of the envoys and stuff to actually start your journey with Envoy, right? And that's important because as an end organization, you want something, it's reliable and it's going to work and it's going to scale, and just use that thing without knowing, what's inside the box. So I think therefore it's a good place to get started. You can have the comfort of it will scale. You can have the comfort that it's reliable. You can have the comfort that lots of companies are watching for its security and zero-day vulnerabilities and so on. Um, so and all the hooks that are needed to make it happen are now present, right? So um, that's why I think it's a good fit, and it's now the barriers to get started have also become removed, and the barriers to extend, like we are saying, for your users who are actually the ones going to build the agents is also getting lowered or removed, right? So hopefully that'll aid in the adoption.
Open source is critical to Tetrate, and this marketplace is a community driven project. what kind of involvement do you want to see from the larger ecosystem? What are you already seeing, and how do you want to see it grow and become even more successful?
Yeah. So what we would like to see is, which we have already started seeing early signs of, is large end users who have been maintaining custom integrations, write extensions and keep publish them onto the marketplace. We expect commercial vendors who are maintaining these integrations with Envoy also to be becoming a part of this, because otherwise they are maintaining custom Envoy builds and over time over different versions, which is quite painful. Um, so we would like to see a thriving, you know, ecosystem where uh, we have extensions supplied from end users and providers, and for end application and agent developers who want to use, they can just discover and use in the environment of their choice, right? And both today, the story is pretty good for how you discover, try, and locally test it, and we want to extend it to make it better for taking it to production systems as well, right? So, but this is already a huge step forward from where we used to be in Envoy, to make it approachable to a new developer.
Varun, thank you so much for joining me and sharing these insights about built on why. It is clear that you are lowering the barrier to entry and making Envoy extension more accessible to developers through this community-driven marketplace. And yes, ensuring commercialization is part of that equation for longer sustainability. Thanks for your insights, and I look forward to chatting with you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
And for those watching, if you're facing similar challenges when extending Envoy or managing cloud native infrastructure, don't forget to check out Tetrate and its solution. And also, don't forget to subscribe to TFIR, like this video, and share it with your teams. Thanks for watching. Okay.